Hello viewers, today I wanted to do a little comparison video on locking pliers, Channellocks versus Knipex. I'm sure there's many other videos out there about this comparison, and Knipex, they're not a new company by any means. They've been in Germany for many years, and I think they're just really starting to become more popular here in the States. And I think that this locking plier design is relatively new for Knipex. They've had a lot of other pliers from many years ago, but I think this actual locking pliers, or adjustable locking pliers, is one of their newer design pliers. This is the Channellock 430. What we all kind of grew up using. You know, it's an old faithful, nothing wrong with it. They're durable. This pair of pliers right here is actually probably 3 or 4 years old, and they're beat up pretty good. You can tell they're scratched up pretty good. You can't even really read the logo anymore. Channel, I'll try to focus in there for you. You can't even really read it. Made in America, but nothing wrong with it. Well, at least that's kind of what we thought until these came out, and there's more advantages with these pliers. The Knipex, they're made in Germany, like I said. Let me see if I could pull up a part number here. I believe that's the part number, 8801250. Made in Germany. It might be on the other side, actually. No. Okay. So yeah, there's your part number. And these two I felt like were the most comparable size-wise. The closest. You know, this one doesn't have the button like some of the other Knipex. This is just kind of, these two tools are just very similar. I just want to go over some of the advantages of the Knipex, and the size, the length is almost identical, but the huge advantage is how much more narrow they are. If you see, I actually kind of line up the heads and the back, and you can see all this advantage right here of getting in a tighter spot as opposed to the Channellock. So it's much more narrow, more slimline, and you're actually able to get into a tighter spot that way. The angle of the head is more extreme, and I know Channellocks does make another type that has a more of a 45-degree angle, or I mean more of a closer to a 90-degree head on it, and with different teeth. But this is just the standard. On the Channellocks, you know, I've never had an issue with Channellocks. There's actually, I already counted earlier, and you can take my word for it, there's actually 8 positions that you can actually adjust. So when I went ahead and counted the Knipex, there's actually 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's actually 9 positions, and I'm pretty sure the Knipex, when they designed this adjustable wrench, they knew that Channellocks had 8 positions, or most of them had 8 positions, and they just upped the game by 1 notch, just to give you a little more flexibility with the opening. So there's that advantage as well. You have an extra position that you can go into. Now the grips, this isn't like your typical like Knipex grip. You know, usually they're like thicker, squishier. This is more of a rougher, and a preference of mine. It's like it's not slick like the Channellocks or a lot of other Knipex pliers grip. They got a little bit of texture to them, and it's really kind of hard to focus in. Try to get out of the shadow here. Try to get more into the light here. But they got a little bit of texture to them, and they feel really good. But one disadvantage I see, not a huge problem, the grips don't go as high on the actual pliers themselves. They're a little bit lower, so the Channellocks, you got a little bit more grip up higher. So up here you don't really have as much grip. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I could see that being a slight issue when if you are in a tight spot. But yeah, this is, like I said, we all know this type of grip. I love the way that grip feels. Always have my whole life. There's a lot of tools and pliers that have that type of kind of waxy, sticky grip that I like. Over time, these do get torn and ripped. The bottoms of mine got a couple holes in them. It just happens, and they do start to fall apart. These, I feel like, are maybe a little bit more durable. These particular pliers I've been using for about 6 months, and like I said, these ones are probably 2-3 years old. Another huge advantage from the Knipex is how much more narrow they are this way. So if you take a look, if I can do this one-handed, let's give it a shot. You look and see how much more narrow the Knipex head of the pliers is, and in my opinion, that's just a really good advantage of getting into tighter spots for sure. Another thing I actually noticed is on the Channellocks, there's really only one pattern of teeth. Okay, so they're all evenly spaced, and there's one pattern. But if you look at the Knipex, you'll actually see that here at the tip you have a finer tooth pattern, and moving along you have a more coarser, wider tooth pattern there. And yet, even farther in, you have yet another fine tooth pattern closer to the throat. So that's definitely interesting, and I can attest that these definitely grip things better. If you're a plumber or a building maintenance engineer like I am, you're using these type of pliers on a daily basis, all the time. So, in my experience, these Knipex, they definitely grip better. They grip the nut better, and this shape alone allows you to grip that nut better compared to just having something straight across like that. So, and I know, like I said, I know Channellock does make other variations of pliers that have different patterns, more similar to this type of head, but I can assure that the metal on this Knipex is really, really good stuff. I don't know what it actually is, the chrome, vanadium, or whatever. But if you can see these burn marks on the tip of my Knipex, they can withstand a lot of heat, because I actually, just a few weeks ago, was holding a copper fitting in here while I was heating it up to solder it, just because I had to make a quick fix on some plumbing issue in the building. And there's some discoloration, but there's actually no deformation or anything like that. It's very, very solid. It's as if you just changed the finish a little bit. That's it. I put quite a bit of heat on it, and it withstood the heat quite well. So can't go wrong with Channellocks. Old Faithful. We've been using them, and I don't think any of us thought that it got any better than this. But in my opinion, Knipex came out with these, and they're taking on like hotcakes, and they're a fantastic design. All of the pliers that I have from Knipex are just top-notch, high quality stuff. Price range, I believe I've seen in most big box stores, these will run you around from $13 to like $16 for this pair of Channellocks. And I believe I picked up this pair of Knipex for, I want to say, $28 at Menards. So yes, you're definitely going to have a little bit more of a price difference there. For sure, over $10 difference in price at least. So that's something to think about, when you're purchasing these pliers. You got a 10 to 15 different price range in between these two. In my opinion, it's worth it. If you're a plumber or like an engineer like I am, and you use these on a daily basis, you're definitely going to want a pair of these. You'll fall in love with them very, very quickly. I was skeptical, I really was. I was stubborn. I'm like, hey, I like American-made tools, and I do. I still like American-made tools. You try to buy American when you can. That doesn't mean you can't find high-quality tools outside of America. Germany has been making very high-quality tools for a long time, so I can't knock that whatsoever. But you do want to support your local economy. I get that. I'm very much that way. But when I see a better product, something I use every day, and it makes a big difference in my day-to-day life, I'm going to spend the extra money on the higher quality stuff when I feel it's necessary. So that's my take on the Knipex pliers versus the Channellocks. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave any comments below, and thanks for watching.